seat time. Today we are with Diane Santos, where we get to know the real deal Holyfield of the people who are in our network. You know the deal. 5 questions, 3 personal, 2 professional. Diane Santos, welcome. You are on the VBB hot seat.
Hi. Oh, you're making my day, Joe. Thank you so much for this. I'm really glad we stayed connected on LinkedIn. We did have some great times and really good working together at Takeda. And I appreciate the fact that we're still able to stay connected. I appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Well, rock and roll. We're going to get right into it. Who would you say are the best people you've ever supported?
Well, one would be from Takeda, Tim Caldwell. Definitely. He gave me a chance to be part of the leadership team, which meant that I had increased visibility into the engineering facilities group as a whole that I wouldn't have otherwise. And being able to sit in on those meetings and listen to the other leaders from the team to get us, we got a really much clearer and more in-depth sense of who their teams were, what their issues were, what they were heading up against, what they did, not just what they did, because oftentimes I don't know what people do, right? Like you said, people don't always know what I do. Works both ways, but I got a really good sense of what was working, not working, needed to be fixed. How do we fix it? How do we convince people it's worthwhile? I would spot holes and make suggestions that I wouldn't have been able to otherwise because I wouldn't have been aware of them. I appreciated that. And that was one thing that I appreciated about Tim. I also appreciated that not long after I was hired, I went through a health issue and I was concerned about how that was going to impact my job because I didn't know what was coming. And he made it really clear that it didn't matter, that my health was more important than anything, that I could take whatever time I needed for doctor's appointments or resting or whatever, and just don't even think about it. Just do it. And I will always be grateful for that sort of humanity, I guess. Krishna Yeshwant. He works for GV, which is Google Ventures, which is life, and he is the head senior partner for the life sciences division of basically Google's venture capital arm. And I came on board as a contractor there in GV when his EA was going out on maternity leave. And I had a really nice ramp up and training before she left. And then and I was feeling pretty good about it. And once she left, everything fell apart. And it was really scary. Things were coming at me fast and furious. To this date, I've never met anyone so busy in my life. Truly, hands down, I can say that. No. I mean, this is a physician, and he was at the time a working physician, so he was at the hospital 2 days a week. But that means that's 3 days a week that he's not working for Google. So it was a balancing act like I've never had to manage before. And I really felt like I was getting further and further behind as the days went on, and I was becoming more and more panic stricken. Partly because I really didn't think I was doing the job well, and I didn't see a way forward to getting a hold of that and getting better at it. It just seems to be slipping away from me, and I didn't see a way to pull it back. And one day he was on his way out. He had to pick up his kids from school, and he just asked casually, "How are you doing?" And for some reason, I decided to be honest, and I said, "I'm failing." And he said, "No, I have to go, but we will talk about this." And he called me at home that night, and we had a wonderful conversation, and he assured me that I was not failing, that it was an impossible situation to step into. He recognized that. Everybody recognized that. We met in person the next day. Again, he assured me, "I don't think you're failing. You're being too hard on yourself. Give it some time. I know I'm incredibly difficult. Don't worry about it. You'll get it." And that sort of took a load off. That pressure came off, and I was able to breathe. And then the next day, which again, I really appreciate, he reached out to the venture capitalists in California, which is where the main office is. And 2 people came on, we had a call, and they said, basically, "Krishna said you were having problems. We brainstormed. This is how we're going to help you." And I started to cry And I kept thinking, don't cry, you're at work, don't cry. But the fact that people that I said I'm struggling, they listened to me. They said, don't worry about it. And here's how we can help. I will never forget that. And if I have a chance, if God forbid, a chance like that comes up again, that I can do that for someone, I absolutely will. Everything got back on track. I finished out the term with an A star, A plus gold star. It was one of the hardest jobs I've ever had, and one of the jobs I'm most proud of.
What do you think are the core attributes that you need to ultimately provide to your executives?
We know what's important to them. I'm always asking, what are the priorities? What do you need to do? What's happening this week? What's coming down? What's coming this week that I need to know about? Who are your priorities? What are your priorities? And that's changing from week to week, month to month. But as long as I know what the priorities are, then I can work with that. I can move those meeting requests up to the front of the line. I can make room on the calendar. I can create space in the calendar for maybe pre-read work or meeting prep work or things like that. If I don't know, then I can't do my job as effectively. That's important. It's important to be really organized in the sense that my piles all stay. But again, knowing who's important, who are the key players, who to make time for, what's the priority right now, this week, this month. And it's really important for me, maybe not for others, but for me, it's really important to know who I'm working with as a person. If I know that this individual has young kids at home, then I can ask them, do you want to leave early on Halloween so you can be home for trick-or-treating with your kids? May not matter to you, but I know for some people it does. Is this somebody who might want to take time off for religious holidays? Is that, I worked for a young man once who dated a lot. All right, so do you want to be out of here early on Thursday and Friday night? Thursdays and Fridays because you got dates. It's knowing who they are as a person, how I can communicate with them, how they best like their information given to them. They're all different. I did work for a VP of sales once who taught me, I don't have time, give it to me in bullet points. Bullet point, move on. Okay, now that's how I can work with salespeople, I know. But it's about knowing who they are, what their priorities are, and then being able to work with that to make their life as easy as possible. My job is to make their job easier. What's your favorite part of your job? Being able to recognize people when they do good things. And again, sometimes directors, associate directors, they don't think about that, but I find I'm always saying, I'm glad to hear that your team did well. I'm so glad that you're proud of your team right now. What are you doing when people get married? I like to send them flowers, and that's something that I enjoy doing. So I guess what's something that's not on your resume, something that's not on your LinkedIn profile that you'd love to tell people about? When I worked at Harvard, when I was there for almost 10 years, I supported a faculty member, Young, one of a MacArthur Genius Award winner. It was a golden child. It was a very challenging relationship because he was not used to people saying no to him. And he would have these grand ideas. I want XYZ. And then he would move on. And I'd think, I have to pull that off. Okay. Not quite sure how I'm going to do that, but okay. And one of the things that he did as a host was the beginning of the school year. Every year was host a pig roast in the yard, in the courtyard. This became a giant event. By the time I left, it was well over 200 people were invited. People, faculty members, their spouses, their kids. I used to joke, next year there'll be a petting zoo. It's just, you name it. But that was a week-long event in preparation. All of the logistics behind it. How do we order a pig? Who's going to get it? Who's going to build the pit? That's something that when I look back, I think, I can't believe I did that. And as a vegetarian, that was a little challenging. to look down from the top floors of the building out on the courtyard and see a pig roasting. But, I did it every year. And I'm actually pretty proud of that. So again, being thrown things at me as they run by, and I think, okay, let me just wave my magic wand and I'll make it happen. 9 times out of 10, I can make it happen.
If you had to meet someone dead or alive, who would it be?
Mother Teresa. Fascinated by her humble beginnings, her humble life, really, and her ability to just, I guess, stay the course. She knew what her mission was. She knew what her vision was, her calling, as it were. She never strayed from that. And I remember reading once, somebody said to her, because she was not from India, but that's where obviously people know that she ended up in Calcutta helping the poor. And somebody said, well, why are you helping the poor here? They're poor in, your home country. And she said something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing, they're poor everywhere. I'm needed everywhere. This is where I am. It's just, again, she was super clear. She had a vision. She knew where she was going. She got up every day and did it. Didn't let things get in her way. Wasn't allowed to be derailed. Fascinating as a person, as a woman, as a spiritual leader. She's somebody I'd love to meet.
Diane Santos, you are off the VBB hot seat. Feel free, leave your comments below, show some love for Diane Santos, and rock on.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.